This is why marketing is so dangerous. Take a look at this video.
Watch me rebrand mac and cheese to make it sound like a health food. Kraft recently redid their packaging. I really like the simplicity of it, but to make this seem like a health food option, we need to make this look more like Goodles, which, side note, is very good. I'm gonna keep this box blue because when you think of Kraft mac and cheese, you picture that blue box. But I don't just want this to be a plain blue box, so I'm gonna add my mac and cheese and put a beautiful blue sky behind it to kind of blend that blue background. I don't want to disrespect Kraft, so I'll put their logo at the top. Now, instead of calling this macaroni and cheese, I'm gonna rename this and call this Simple Mac. Technically, this is a simple product. There's not a whole lot to it. It's a cheese powder and macaroni, so it's Simple Mac, but that makes it seem like a minimalistic, kind of all-natural product. But I do feel like it needs a little bit more, so I'm gonna add farm to fork on there because, frankly, it doesn't mean anything, but again, it makes it sound more like an all-natural product. And to get a little bit more descriptive, I will add farmhouse cheddar and macaroni because using farmhouse automatically makes something sound healthier. At the bottom, I'm gonna add no artificial flavors or preservatives because that's actually what's on the box currently. I'm gonna highlight 10 grams of protein and 0 grams of trans fat. And then I'm also gonna add made with real cheese and add a little bit more cheese onto this packaging because, I mean, this is macaroni and cheese. And that's all there is to it. There is our healthy Kraft macaroni and cheese. Let me know what else you want to see me turn into a health food and I'll see what I can do.
Yikes!
You know what? When I say marketing is dangerous, I don't mean all marketing. I'm saying this is where we can go if we're not careful. If we're simply trusting the marketing, it's probably going to mislead us because their incentives do not necessarily align with my incentives. And so shout out to Matt Rosenman. He runs this account on Instagram called Cheat Day Design. There's one other video I wanted to share with you, and I thought maybe we could have a conversation about it. This one, so what he's doing here is he's rebranding all of these unhealthy foods to make them sound healthy so we feel better about our purchase. This one is for cotton candy.
Watch me rebrand cotton candy to sound like a health food. Cotton candy is a challenging one because it's just sugar, but I have a direction to go. Instead of calling it cotton candy, because candy's never going to sound healthy, we're going to call this fruit fluff. This is not flavored with real fruit, but the flavors resemble fruit, so there's nothing stopping us from calling it fruit fluff. And I want to really play into the nature and earth feel of this to make it feel healthier. So we'll give fruit fluff a grassy background, and then what I'm going to do is add a tree with cotton candy for the leaves. And then to play into the fruit theme a little bit more, I will add a bunch of roots with fruit attached to it. I know that all of this fruit is not growing underground, but it looks good, so get off my back. And for the brand that's selling this cotton candy, let's call it Nature's Sweet. This is not a natural product, but it's just the brand name. We could use nature in it. Let's add fat-free and sodium-free, which both are true in cotton candy. And I want to add a very healthy-sounding tagline to this. I'll say a lighter way to satisfy cravings from nature with love. The FDA does have regulations on using the word light if you're talking about nutrient claims. This isn't a claim, this is just a light way to enjoy sweets. And sugar, it's from nature, technically, and with love, of course this is made with love. And then really, really super tiny at the bottom, we'll just say naturally and artificially flavored because they use both of them. There she is. There's our healthy cotton candy. Let me know what you think, and as always, challenge me with your ideas for what I should rebrand into a health food next.
I'm so hungry right now. I'm so mad.
Mal, you know what's fascinating about this is I see that, and it would, in a weird way, make me feel better about the purchase. For both of these, he did another one for candy corn, and he does these all the time, and that's why I really like what he's exposing. He's, by the way, not telling you you should or shouldn't eat cotton candy. He's not saying you should or shouldn't eat macaroni and cheese. What he's showing you is that the marketing of a thing is often considerably different from the thing itself.
And there are two versions of this, by the way. He touches on one, and that is the tendency to embrace something as good just because it is presented in a way that's poetic or picturesque. The other is the tendency to reject something as BS, just because it's presented in a way that's poetic or picturesque. And both of those things are real. There are people who will reject something just because it sounds pretty. And they've been sort of conditioned to be suspicious of anything that sounds pretty. Oh, that must be fluff. That must be BS. So both of these things work. But I love what he's doing because it is funny and it encourages critical thinking in a way that people are going to find entertaining and easy to pay attention to. It's a constant reminder that the frame around things affects the way you look at it. And so beware of ways in which you are being duped into dismissing things or embracing things because of the frame, but also pay attention to the way in which you can use this power for good. What areas of your life actually are nutritious, actually are edifying, but you've got a terrible frame around it that isn't highlighting. So I like to think about it from both sides in that way, but I love what he's doing. I mean, great wake-up call to people in an interesting way. Great example of how to teach critical thinking without putting people to sleep.
Oh, yeah. And I've fallen for the farm to fork nonsense before. I looked at that and was like, oh my gosh, he's right. I fell for that stuff. It made me feel better because I was like, well, if it's processed, but like, it's a little bit better because it's like farm raised or whatever. And that's a story I was telling myself about stuff.
Right. The farmhouse cheddar. Like that sounds healthier than just saying powdered cheese, obviously, right?
Yeah.
Or hey, is soy free, vegan?
Yeah. Low sodium or whatever it is. And it's like, well, of course, there are no trans fats in cotton candy, right? I want to say, of course, but maybe not, of course, these days.
Right.
Let's just inject all the poisons into the food. We did that with Dr. Zach Bush recently. We watched that video of the guy like, you know what? Let's just put poison in the food. It'll save us money, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's what we're doing here. And so, Mallory, what you're bringing up is like all of these marketing terms quite often are literally nonsense. They're nonsensical. And it makes me start to question, and this is where the critical thinking comes into play that TK is talking about. It makes me question, what other nonsense am I falling for? What other farm to fork or other marketing terms sound noble or sound healthy that actually are just nonsensical marketing terms that are meant to divorce me from the money in my bank account?
Yeah, you know, when you watch superhero movies and you look at the superhero and the villain, they are both expressions of genius, creativity, and admirable potential. And they use them for two different purposes, right? And creativity it's neutral. It's a form of power, right? And you can use that for good. You can use it for ill. You can use it to deceive people, exploit them, and manipulate them, or you can use it to take things that are truly beautiful and frame them in such a way so that people will want more of what's good for them. And so I'm definitely a champion of studying things like this so that we can become students of how to use these things for good. I hope you enjoy that highlight. If you'd like to see another one, check out this video right here. If you'd like to see that full episode, check out this video here. Or if you'd like to dive deep into the full private podcast, subscribe via the Patreon link in the description. Your support on Patreon is what allows us to keep this podcast 100% advertisement free.